Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me on a very special episode of Ask Sharifah Videocast. I am your host, Sharifah Hardy. And you know what? I want you to meet an incredible friend of mine. He has been on my morning talk show, the Roundtable Talk Show, at least a couple of times. He is an amazing gentleman. And one of the things that I love is that I have been able to follow his personal journey, at least over the last 2 months, with this global epidemic. But I want to go ahead and introduce you to Mr. Darrell Hulse II. Good afternoon, Darrell. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing excellent.
What I loved is, first of all, I love to hear that you're doing excellent. But when you were on the show the first time, it seems like you had just started your Zooms. And let's, first of all, before I go into my analysis, can you tell us a little bit about your Zooms?
Yeah, so I had been doing the Zooms. I actually put an end to it because I saw that they're starting to open up the state. It's just like they're kind of like reclosing it down in other places. But from all the time indoors, I figured everybody's indoors anyways. Why don't I guide people through the experience of making more peace within themselves? Because if there's peace within themselves, there's going to be peace among the household. If there's peace among the household, there's going to be peace in the neighborhood. Then it, so on to the state, to the country. It's the reverse. Well, that's how they described it. That's how Confucius described it. Was at first, if you want to change the world, first you have to change a continent. Before you change a continent, you have to change a nation. Before you change a nation, you change the state. Before you change the state, you change the districts. Before you change the districts, you change the block where you live, and then to the individual, to the household, to everyone in your house, to then down to you.
That makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. I love it. I feel the same way. But back to the Zooms, Darrell.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I may pick them up again. They're about they were about meditation, group meditation, guided meditation. On top of that, it was like sound bowl healing too. So it'd be different hosts. I still have audio of all of it. I'm probably gonna put it all online pretty soon. But yeah, I have audio of all that stuff.
No, but the reason I want to go back to the Zooms is just watching your transition, because I know, or at least I see the kind of transition that you made lately, where you wanted to focus on being more of an entrepreneur and focus more on your business as opposed to doing the Zooms through meditation. Is that correct?
Yeah, like my goal, end of the day, is to be able to make meditation and make my spirituality into a business, to make it so that it can sustain itself, so that it can succeed, because it succeeding means that other people have succeeded.
Okay, but then my question would be, to make your meditation into a business, what does that business look like for you? What does that business look like for you?
For me, what it's been is I actually just joined a network of entrepreneurs called Network of Influence, and I'm having an event tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, from 10 a.m. to noon, PST. And it's gonna be, I'm gonna be one of the panel hosts, or well, one of the people who mans the table. It's all an online virtual conference, and I'm gonna be speaking and have it, like, it's gonna be like 5-10 minutes of talking, and then I'm gonna have at the table where I introduce myself, and then people introduce themselves to me. They can book a session with me, and it's a meditation. It's more along the lines of like a spiritual consultation and healing, because I've been doing it for free for a while. for quite some time now, where I will do spiritual consults for people. For example, one of my friends, he was just deathly sick, and I told him, dude, I'll call you in like a few minutes. Are you good to go? Can I call you up? And then he said, yeah. And shortly after, I was on the phone with him, and his nose stopped bleeding, his migraine was gone, and his sickness was gone, all within 15 minutes. And it never came back. And it's been like a month since. So I know for sure it's not like hiding in the recesses of his, of his own immune system. It's all present. It's just in the back burner, or it got put in the fire,
Mm-hmm. So you are so interesting, because I asked one question and you give me this valuable information, and I'm like, okay, but I want to go back to my initial question is, what makes it that you, do you consider it a business? Because I asked you about the business and you told me about the networking event that you were doing tomorrow. So is this another step for you, a new step where you're actually charging? So you're in the beginning stages of setting up your business. Wonderful.
And it's going to be, I'm going to do free consultations for people, but if they want to pay, they can pay, and I'll do like the full on, no holds bar version of it, where the healing happens in like 15 minutes, or sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just depends on, it depends on what they're willing to accept and what they're ready for.
Okay. Now, I'm pretty sure. See, I don't think, aside from the Zooms or the radio shows, you actually see me speak, because when I talk, I'm sure Andrea does. One of the things that I talk about is business. Like, business is my passion. And one of the things that I always ask myself is, are you operating a business? Are you operating a hustle? Are you operating a nonprofit? Because you really have to be clear on what you are operating. And what happens so often with people who have such wonderful hearts, and I love your heart, I love you as a person, is like, we just want to help, but a business is there to create a profit. So maybe there are areas where you're able to help, but then there have to be specific set areas where you say, this is where I'm going to receive my revenue from. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the spiritual consultations themselves are what the business is.
Mm-hmm.
And as of right now, just because of, it's newer to the market, and it's actually just something that's just really beneficial to the individual.
Mm-hmm.
I actually put it at a price of $2,500, and I'm going to have like little free ones where it's like 15 minutes or 30 minutes. I'll probably put it at 15 minutes for like the free one, just because I think 30 minutes is gonna be too long, and I'm just gonna end up talking to the people after I like heal them completely. But with these exercises that I'm gonna do, it's gonna be something where I might end up teaching them techniques that will help them for the rest of their life. So even though it might be a $2,500 price tag, it's something that they can use whenever that same problem might emerge again, right? Because it's not the first time someone got a migraine in their whole life, Like, nobody just gets one migraine. They're like, yep, that's it. I'm done with them forever.
Right, but then I'm confused, and that's why I love being asked Sharifah, because I can always ask the questions, and maybe someone else is wondering the same thing. But if you have it at a $2,500 price tag, and you value it as a $2,500 price tag, then you said people can pay if they want to. And I can only speak to me, is like, there are very few instances for anything. Like, I don't want to pay my gas bill. I don't want to pay my electric bill. I don't want to pay for anything, really. Yeah. Now, it's beneficial. I need it. I need, everything. But I don't think there's a point where I get to where I say, you know what, I really want to do this. I really want to pay for it. But if it's something that I really want, something that I really have to have, something I really need and is beneficial, then I'm willing to pay that $2,500 price tag. But if you're willing to give me 15 minutes free, I'm willing to take it.
Yeah. I do it where it's like 15 minutes free so they can try it out. And then the 2,500 is for like an hour. And in the hour, I'd be able to teach them everything that I'm either doing or everything that could benefit them directly right here and now.
How long have you been doing this? How long did it take you to learn these things?
So these things, I've been practicing them for about, I started practicing meditation. I started to learn all these different techniques probably about 11 years ago, 10 years ago.
Okay, so what you're saying is for $2,500, you're going to teach somebody 11 years worth of information in 1 hour.
Not in 1 hour.
Right, exactly, right.
Relevant.
So what is the value of that 1 hour? That would be my one thing, and I would just go with it.
So the trial and error, the things that I put in to learn what works and what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can find information all over the internet
Mm-hmm.
about anything, right? You can find information about how to make, you can find information to make how to make pancakes, right? But it's not your grandmother's recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it doesn't have that same flavor that it has. It's not the same ingredients. It's not the same consistency.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll find general things, but if you have a specific problem or a specific thing you want to accomplish,
Mm-hmm.
then that's what I'm helping people to remove pain, to remove some people I've helped to remove anxiety from themselves.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is that people will hold on to negative emotions, and it'll latch onto their actual essence itself and attach to their soul. And once it attaches to their soul, they might be able to get rid of it temporarily for a little bit, like a little type of jolt to keep themselves out of it. But how do you get it to completely detach is what I teach.
Mm-hmm.
How to get the consistent migraines, which is the same type of entity to it,
Mm-hmm.
to detach. How to deliver ourselves from those types of pains and those types of difficulties, and also physical pain, heal the body or help the body to heal itself completely, as FDA would want me to say.
Okay, so Darrell, let me ask you then, and this is, I'm just going to ask the question. Do you really honestly feel that you have the skill set to be able to do that?
Yes.
Okay, so I knew you were just going to say that because it was like not even a thought in the world. He was like, I can do it. I've done it. This is what I do. But that's rare. And so my question would be, you have to be available to be able to provide those services to people. And the only way for you to be available to help other people is for you to have the revenue again and the resources to be able to help everyone. So when you don't, when maybe you're just, and I'm not, you have to have more resources available is my thought process.
Uh-huh. Oh, I have tons of resources. I mean, I can't talk about all of them because they're not exactly, I'd have to get permission to speak about them. But my resources, like just the immediate ones that I can talk about are, for example, the network of influence is made up of, there's 1,000 members inside of the network of influence, inside of Manny Lopez's School of Business Manifestation. And he himself is, he's worked with Ty Lopez, he's worked with Les Brown, Frank Shankwitz from Make-A-Wish Foundation, Greg Reed, the person who filmed the movie Wishman, that's on Netflix. But my network is just made up of people who are entrepreneurs and business owners, and I've been offering services in sales and been the top salesperson in every company that I've joined. So it's been pretty easy for me to understand how to network and how to bring the people in and how to sell whatever product that, whatever it is, right? What I'm offering to be able to, cure people of insomnia, be able to bring peace to the soul itself, that's something that you don't really find that available. Like Deepak Chopra doesn't have anything that I've seen, right? That's just like a direct course in how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're trying to just resolve the mind when they could go straight to the spirit and start working from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of things that make it so that I have the network, right? I've over a dozen entrepreneur friends who are working with like Les Brown and other ones who are working with people like Deepak Chopra and working with just tons of people in the spiritual community. So I kind of get inside. I'm part of this. I'm part of the think tank. We meet every Wednesday, or we Zoom meet every Wednesday. One of them's on the other side of the world over in the UK.
Oh,
8 hour
wow.
time. Yeah.
What is it? What is this network?
So it's a think tank. It's metabizics. It's Shannon
Mm-hmm.
Leish, Jennifer K. Hill, Jerry Yusko. You know those people, right?
Yes, absolutely. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. They're wonderful people.
Yeah, they're great. I enjoy talking to them all the time, and we're gonna actually put on an event on the 30th. I believe the 30th. I need to reconfirm it with all of them, but we're gonna put on an event, and it's called the I Am Summit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be where all of us collectively do something along the lines of a Zoom call. I'm assuming a Zoom call. I think Zoom is the right platform for it. But we're gonna record it, turn it into classes, and then on top of that, have additional courses for people and additional services. And we're gonna be putting that together. The two people who put together the metabizics is Shannon Leichner and Jennifer Cahill, from Awake TV Network. And we're working together to make this a good event, because I came up with the idea. We were in the think tank all the time. We're like, how do we do something business wise with everybody in the think tank? And I thought, why don't I organize what I can, and let's put this together. I'll just kind of iron out the details and everything, and pretty soon I'm going to do a lot more promoting for all of it, because I see the benefit of learning from multiple spiritual advisors, spiritual counselors, learning from multiple people in the same industry, because there are many ways to the mountaintop. And just
I
because
love that.
yours doesn't mean that theirs is invalid.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different way to get to the top of the mountain. And I can learn from different ways that they're hiking up it, or climbing up it, or different techniques they're using, right? Back in the ancient days, what we did was we observed what our comrades were doing, and that's what made humanity survive to the point that it did. We were thriving, adapting, sharing what we learned, and using what we learned in order to progress ourselves further, right?
So,
It was physical, so it was easier for people to understand, but the metaphysical is harder for people to understand. But in 10 years time, I think the metaphysical is going to be at a point where it's the same as talking about Newton's laws.
mm-hmm.
Right? People are going to see spirituality the same exact way as going to a guidance counselor at a high school, right? Having someone do a Reiki at a massage parlor won't be unusual, it'll be normal, because there's going to be an understanding and awareness that comes around the spiritual realm that's going to make it to where there's going to be so much growth and progression that people are going to want to involve themselves. I think it was Lao Tzu who actually said that there are many ways to the top of the mountain, or there are many ways to the mountaintop. And it's also a Taoist saying, because mountains were what they aspired for, right? Like they aspired towards the peak of the mountain because that was the physical embodiment or representation of reaching a high point elevating the spirit was seen as being one with nature itself, because nature itself aspires to grow as much as it can grow, to be, like a tree will grow as tall as a tree can grow. A fish will expand and grow as big as a fish can grow. If you put a shark in a small tank, it's going to be a small shark, but if you put it in a massive tank, it's going to be a bigger shark. And it's the limits of the nature itself that define what it is that is our own physical limits. So when we are going around in the world trying to figure out and maneuver, just understand that if you bring yourself in alignment with nature and the higher nature and the expansive nature, you're going to grow, you're going to expand, you're going to reach a higher height, and you're going to become more than you believed you could become before the expansion happened. Because every time you stretch a rubber band, this was like some old motivational thing, was like every time you stretch a rubber band, it expands where it's starting from. So where it might have been like a small rubber band to begin with, the more you stretch it, the more it starts to like normalize to that position, and then it keeps on going on. And yeah, I think people are the same way in that way.
I mean, I was just listening. Like, I was almost just blown away by everything you had to, like, you can see it in your mind's eye. You can visualize this world where it is more of an everyday occurrence of people healing themselves. Or
yeah, people are going to breathe in air and realize that it's prana coming into their body. There's going to be less vegetarians, and then people are going to go on to being more juicers. And then from juicers, they're going to start to be they're going to start to water fast only, and from water fasting they're going to become breatharians. And then after that point, they get to this place where they go beyond the physical realm. And
so when you say they, you mean people?
People, yeah. So people who concentrate and understand that the end all isn't veganism. It's actually beyond veganism. Like, you move on and you actually take the next step. So like when people are getting on other people about, oh, you're killing all these plants, and then you move forward to eating more of a raw diet, and then you go to, if you become a breatharian, you're breathing in the like protozoa, or those different things in the air. And once you get to that, people can start to criticize you, like, hey, there's millions of living creatures in the air you're breathing, right? I don't even think about that all the time. Like, they don't think I'm going through the world, and every time I inhale, it's a bunch of living creatures. Like,
wow, I would never have thought about that. Now I'm like, I'm one of those people. I'm over here freaking out. Like, they're oh my God. Like, I don't know. Now I'll be like, oh my God, I just breathed into something. 0, 0, 0, 0. I don't know what to do with you. I don't know what to say, because you like gotta come back to all my shows for like ever, because you are interested. I can never predict what you're gonna say.
Oh yeah. I'll speak to people. Like, one of my friends was he's a great guy. He was raised with the Marley family, and he was telling me, I never know what you're gonna say. And he hears me say stuff, and it just throws him off guard. Like, I'm a part of like people who meet kind of like high ranking government people. And so when I meet someone who's just kind of like up there, like, I'll do it randomly. I'll just be like helping. I had a job. Oh, am I still here? Okay. I had a job at Walmart where
I thought that was the government for a mined. Like, you are not having this conversation.
Right? I always think that's gonna happen, but I had a job at Walmart where this guy, he's just telling me he'd been deployed a lot of the times. He's at every major war since the 60s or something, or maybe since the 50s, and he's telling me, yeah, like he's just opening up and sharing a bunch of government stuff. He told me that the phones themselves, this 5G was gonna be wrecking everyone. Um, and once they start to launch it, you see worldwide people getting sick and people getting worried about some sickness that really affects old people. But once these towers launched, it started to affect a large majority of people. And so
I've heard different things on that. I don't know what to believe one way or another. All I know is that there are some people who definitely say it's the 5G. Some people who say it has nothing to do with the 5G. What I do right now is just try to be safe, try to help as many people as I can. That's been my primary focus because I can't say absolutely for sure beyond a shadow of a doubt.
let me ask you a question. If your whole immune
Oh,
system,
here we go. I don't know, girl. I don't know. Don't try to prove it to me. Don't try to prove it to my audience because we don't know.
okay, so if you're with 5G in general,
Mm-hmm.
what it does is it kind of there's a certain amount of radio waves that can be transmitted from one point to another point.
Mm-hmm.
4G is already double what that's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
5G takes 4G signal and makes it about 10 times as strong.
Mm-hmm.
So the compression of how much radio waves can be transmitted from one location to another legally and federally is somewhere along the lines of I think it was 20 times as much as what's supposed to be the limit.
Mm-hmm.
And and so it's basically like you're walking down the street, you get microwaved.
Mm-hmm.
They put it in facilities, where there's children, and it affected them. Where it's a clinic for rehabilitating people who have cancer to cure them. I forget what those are called. It's a specific place where they go to heal after they have cancer,
Like
and
hospices?
something like that. And instead of healing, they actually got 5 times worse. And it was somewhere within range of where those towers were put. So it's not good for our bodies. That's all. That's one thing I know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's any type of sickness going around, we have a sensitivity to all types of sickness because our immune systems are compromised. But
what do you recommend to help the people? What do you do? Have a session with you? What is it that the people need to do? I mean, because to a certain extent, because one of the questions that would come to mind would be, well, that doesn't even sound legal. But at a certain point, I just look at it like if that is the case, no matter, even if someone is fighting it in some court, we would all still be in the same situation. So what is it that you recommend? What is it that you suggest?
Shungite, Orgonite. I recommend.
Well, what I don't even know what you just said. Shanghai will organize.
Shungite, yeah. So shungite, what it is it's actually something that was kind of shown to mess with electromagnetic frequency waves that go out. So it's just EMF protector. So it protects the body from the electrical output of the signals from like, for example, routers and like cell phone towers and all those different things that could affect our bodies, right? Because we have more electronics around us these days, even our phones
Mm-hmm.
and our computers and our laptops. We have more electronics around us than ever before, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we were cavemen and cave women had sticks and rocks, and their biggest concern was fire.
Right.
Our bodies work on electrical systems.
Mm-hmm.
So for our thumb to move, we have to send an electrical signal from the brain to the thumb, and it you watch a ton of anatomy videos and explanations. It talks about the signals that our bodies and our brains are sending and receiving all the time. And so you start to incorporate a lot more electronics. It can make a sensitivity to, for example, the stronger the output, the stronger the signal. For example, all these Bluetooths that people have in their ears all the time, that's gonna start to affect their brains. And this was something that I had explained to me by the man who was like top of the military, and he was saying that when you have a phone against your ear, what they found is that the cancer rates increase for people who held a cell phone to their right ear. These cell phones are getting more complex. The clamshells, those ones that were flip phones, were less dangerous to the human body, and so they weren't causing that level of radiation to be sent and received because it was working off 3G. And now that we work off of 4G, it's like more sensitivity, and then the next step is, more intense. So we'll see what happens.
Okay,
But
but wait. Hold on, pause. Let's take a commercial break right here. In that, you just said you sound. I'm sorry, but I feel like I want to say this, like the mayor of Las Vegas, in that whole like we'll just see what happens. I'm not a wait and see. What is it that we can do? You talked about your event when all the people coming together to be able to help and heal. Is this part of the solution?
uh, my solution is, if you have any family members who pass away from it, start the class action lawsuit.
When you say pass away from it, what are you referring to when you say it?
Like,
How would you be able to prove or know that they passed away from 5G? I've never heard in my life and read anything on the media where it says this person passed away from 5G. It's always something else. And at its root, it could be a lot of different things. I've never.
So one way to kind of know is if, like, I don't know if you ever seen that video of that guy who was installing the towers and was talking about all his different health problems.
No.
If they maybe documented what happened to them before they got the service and then after, and then see if there's a dramatic difference. But for the most part, one of the best ways to do is shungites, EMF protectors. They're like these little. Actually, I could show you an example of one.
And where do you pick those up?
I got them on eBay. So like that,
eBay.
see that little thing right there? What it does is it helps to prevent the signal from affecting our bodies. I actually had someone come to a friend's house back in the day, and they demonstrated what a cell phone does when they swipe it over you. And what he did was he took the cell phone and he before he took the cell phone, he had me stand on one leg and balance myself. And he couldn't, he put his weight on one of my arms, and I didn't lose my balance. I was stable. And he swiped the cell phone in front of me. And when he swiped the cell phone in front of me, he had me do it again. And I was completely off balance. He put his arm down, and I toppled over. And then he had the EMF protector, and it actually didn't affect me.
Okay, so again, for all the people who know me, I'm not necessarily that savvy. Whatever you just showed us, the little gadget, the doohickey, does that replace the router, or is that something that you add to the router?
It's something you put on. It's something you put onto something. So is that little circle with the symbol? So any EMF protector that you put onto a device, it actually makes it so that the radio waves that's being emitted from the device itself is contained within a frame that doesn't affect our physical bodies. So it doesn't affect us. It doesn't affect us spiritually. It just levels it out and makes it so it's not damaging to us or to other people. It's just a little thing you tack on just to make it so you're not getting messed up by all these electronics all the time.
Wow. And okay, I think I said it at the beginning of the show, but I'm definitely going to say it again. I don't know what to expect from you, because this conversation went a completely different direction. I thought we were actually, honestly, before the show, going to focus more on kind of your main focus and your being an entrepreneur, but instead you have educated us on 5G, your thoughts on just what we should do, where we can get the help, and what will work. This is very interesting.
Yeah. The reason I've gone down this path is because it could save people's lives. And
Mhm,
even though it might not be profitable for me at all, other than knowing that other people are safe and healthy and protected in times of uncertainty, and I see the economies getting affected as well
mhm,
from this lockdown,
mhm,
and so I would want the safety of each person to be increased
mhm,
rather than decreased during these times. And everybody who's tuning into your shows and everything, I just want them to have a better life because they
mhm.
heard my.
Oh, that is so wonderful. Like that you are such an amazing person. I just love you. You're amazing. We are coming down to the end of the show. And as always, I want to give you a few minutes to speak directly to everyone who's listening live, as well as everyone who's watching it in the archives. Take it away.
Okay, awesome. So anybody who wants to catch the networking event, live.networkofinfluence.com is where to catch it. And then also anybody who wants to tune in, I'm going to start having my business podcasts,
Mhm.
and the IM Summit is coming soon. It'll most likely be the 30th of this month, if not a different date, but I will keep everyone posted. So follow me on social media. You'll get all the details for all of that stuff. And I just want to make sure that everybody's healthy, happy, and well taken care of. And if anybody has any questions, they could feel free to reach out to me. I have answers for random stuff. Yeah.
I'm sure I've been enjoying your social media, by the way. You have been very interesting, different pictures of you, different messages from you. But I just see this more of an energy to help and to be of service and to lift other people's spirits and to bring information and knowledge to other people. I think it's wonderful. I remember the day I first was introduced to you on social media. And that was the day I had my first interview with Andrea Dela Cruz. And you were in the comments and you were supportive and you were shouting, like, I love this woman. And I was like, who is this guy? I have to get a guy, mind, body, heart, soul retreat. Yes. See,
Woo!
like you are someone with such a big heart. I want to thank you for being a guest on today's episode of Ask Sharifah Videocast.
Yeah, awesome. Thank
And
you.
I want to thank everyone who has tuned in. If you're interested in being a guest, please visit the website at asksharifah.com. Until then, everyone have a wonderful day.